Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Writers Chat. We're really excited to have you here today, whether you're here with us in the chat in our community or you're watching the replay. We're really thankful for you. I'm Johnny Alexander. I'm one of the co-hosts. I'm joined by one of our co-hosts, Melissa Stroh, and our special guests today, Rhonda Dragomir and Kathleen Sweeney. And you know what? I didn't check the exact title of today's episode, but it has to do with Instagram and BookBrush and just making those wonderful, wonderful images that will draw people's attention to your Instagram feed and to your social media platforms. We love images, right? So we want them to look as wonderful as possible. And Rhonda does a really great job with her images. Her Instagram feed looks wonderful, and she uses BookBrush, and Kathleen is with BookBrush, so we're really glad to have you guys. Let me just do bios really quick. Rhonda is skilled in graphics and website design. She lives and works in Wilmore, Kentucky, a published writer with 5 stories in Chicken Soup for the Soul anthologies, which is really quite an accomplishment because that is such a competitive market. So congrats on that. Numerous magazine and newsletter bylines. I love this one. Rhonda was named 2019 Writer of the Year by Serious Writer Inc., the first person to win that award, which is so wonderful. And she has won awards for both fiction and nonfiction. You can find out more about Rhonda at rhondadragomir.com. And she's joined today by Kathleen Sweeney. We're glad to have Kathleen back with us again. Kathleen is the Manager of Marketing and Customer Service at BookBrush. She has over 17 years of client service and business assurance experience across the financial recovery and healthcare industries. She thoroughly enjoys working with authors, and we are so glad she does, and helping them create eye-catching images. Again, just so true. I use BookBrush, and I adore it, adore BookBrush. Kathleen lives in Central Illinois with her husband and 3 busy boys, and her hobbies include reading and turning socks right side out. And can I just say, this is rabbit trail for sure. I did laundry yesterday. This is not the first time this happened. I did the bedding. My washing machine, and I know I don't say that word right, but I'm sorry, that's my accent. My washing machine turns my pillowcases wrong side out every single time. How does that happen? I haven't.
What in the world? Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that weird? But anyway, enough of laundry. We are glad you're here. We know you've got a lot to cover. Jeannie, glad you could join us. Jean Wise, one of our other co-hosts. And Rhonda, I'm just going to turn it over to you because I know you've got a lot to share, and we just want to jump right in and get as much covered as possible in this hour.
Thank you. Well, I'm so happy. I'm always happy to teach on Writers Chat. And I really believe that what God has given you, He has given you to share. And if He has given you a talent or a skill, the best thing you can do is share that with other people. And this community, the Writers Chat community, is full of people who are sharing their wisdom. And I'm just getting started as a writer, but I have a lot of experience in art and graphic design. And you know, we all need to build platform as writers, and we need to create images because social media is an image-driven place. And don't worry, you know, if you can create with words, and all of you can if you're writers, you can create with images. It is the same principle that applies from one to another. And putting words with a great image is a very key skill for writers. And one of the things I'm going to teach you today is how to recognize a great image. You know, some people say, oh, I like that, but they don't know why. We're going to understand today, hopefully by the end of the seminar, why you like a particular image and why it is useful and attractive to other people. Now, this is not a photography course. I'm not going to teach you today how to point and shoot your camera. There are lots of those online. My philosophy is there's no need to recreate the wheel. If I can creatively imitate or borrow in a legal way something that someone else has done, that's where I'm going. It saves time, and I can get a lot more done that way. So once you learn some image basics, then choose a free one that's out there, and I'm going to show you how to do that. That's already created. So great social media images are a window into your world. We've talked a lot in recent weeks about branding and how important it is to say who you are, not just what you write, but who you are. And images are a great way to create your brand. They communicate your ideas and they help you to make connection with readers. Isn't that what we want as writers? You know, I don't want to just post something pretty, but I want people to be attracted to what I've said because my main medium is words. Okay, I have to marry it to images, but my main medium, because I'm a writer and not an artist, is words. So I want to draw them into my words. One of the conversations I had a social media coach, and she said, Rhonda, you know, it's great, but what is it saying about your book? I'm like, uh-oh. I had a lot of scriptures and I had, you know, and I was out there connecting and encouraging other writers and doing all these things, but I had not in my branding really gone with my book. So if you go to my Instagram feed now, if you just go back through my Instagram feed, oh, that's a brave thing to say. You will see my evolution as an Instagrammer, okay? Some of it worked, some of it was crickets. And I'm starting to understand what the difference is. So you say, Rhonda, how do I create an image? All right, here we're gonna go. First, you have to decide what you're gonna say because images are meant to say something. Your message needs to fit your strategy and it needs to be chosen to advance the purpose of your brand, okay? So do you want to make them think? That's one image. Do you want to make them laugh? I love laughter. I'm known for my humor. Do you want to make them wonder or think? Wow, you know, creation is awesome or God is awesome. But do you want to make them want? In other words, wow, look at that book. I think I want to read that, or I think I want to see more. So your message needs to follow a strategy. And then the best images evoke an emotional response. Now, surprise, writers chat ladies, I have been, oh, I need to share my screen. So you need to give me permission to share my screen.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't realize.
That's all right. I was going to just
make you co-host and that will allow you to do that?
I guess.
Okay,
You know,
let's try
Zoom just did some updates. So at the share screen, I think that if you click on it, it will give you the chance to allow more than just yourself to do it. I ran up against this here recently.
Oh, okay.
I think I'm in.
There
Okay.
Oh.
Uh-oh. That was not supposed to count. There we are. So, you guys just saw, you know, I feel like I flashed everybody on the internet just now because I've got a picture of my writing award as my background. That is personal inspiration and not advertising, okay? But it's just reminding me who I am. But I have been stalking, I'm calling them the Writers Chat Mavens. I have been stalking their Instagram feed and I'm coming up with some images. And what I'm going to say here is the best images tell a story and they evoke an emotional response. Now, does anybody know whose picture this is?
I would guess Melissa's.
It's Melissa's little boy. Look at this calf. You can see this, right? This image is beautiful. It tells a story. It's actually very well composed, and we're going to talk about composition a little bit, but it evokes an emotion. So what is the emotion here? Anybody? There's no wrong answer.
Happiness
And fun.
Happiness, joy, fun. Okay. Here's another image. And I'm so sorry Bethany is in here because this is off of her Instagram feed. This is me trying to motivate myself to get up and change out of my sleep pajamas into my daytime pajamas so I can start. Okay, so there's humor and so forth, but this is a really brave picture. It's actually also a beautiful composition, the colors and the way she's posed and everything. And what emotion does this evoke?
I'm empathetic with her because I've been there. It connected with me.
I had to laugh. I saw on the internet somebody's calling them hard pants and soft pants, and since the pandemic, we're all in our soft pants, right? But there's an emotion. Let's see, what emotion is here?
Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the emotion. This is also from Melissa's Instagram feed, and she may not recognize it because I doctored it a little bit I put this dark dramatic frame around it, and I amped up some of the vibrance of the picture. So what do you see? You see a snake, you know, and that's going to evoke some emotion.
Oh,
But-
everybody in the chat wants to run or pray. Yes, I think that did provoke an emotion.
Okay, but this is a great picture because it evokes an emotion.
Yeah,
So we need to understand what makes a good image. And I'm going to show you in the next with some examples from our Writers Chat gals of some great images. And I'm going to talk with you how to take a good image and make it into a great image. And then hopefully we're going to make a great image.
Okay.
So first of all, I want you to be sure that your images are not copyrighted by someone else.
Mm-hmm.
I go down through people's Instagram feeds and people love this some e-cards, right? And I see these all the time. I love this. My best fiction writing is my daily to-do list. Hysterical, right? That fits my brand and that fits me. But I cannot use this image. You know why? If you go to their website, their text says some e-cards content is free for personal use only. And you think, well, I'm personally using it. That's personal use. No. And in order to keep it free, we require people adhere to the following terms of service. All of our content is protected under copyright and trademark laws. Any use other than personal use requires written permission. And you're like, that's okay. I'm a person and I'm using it as personal use. Here it goes. You cannot, in all capital letters, use the services to create advertising, promote a product, brand, website, and here's the killer, social media program, community page, or Facebook fan page without written permission. Now, can you use this image on your Instagram feed for free? Blank stares. It's dicey. It's dicey. It depends on how badly they want to persecute you, right?
Can you use it just to share it though, like on Facebook? Just to share the joke, because we all thought it was cute. But if we use it with the intention of promoting my author page or promoting a workshop coming up, then I have violated it. But just to post it, this made me smile today, type thing.
Good thing. I would not put it on the Serious Writer Facebook page. I would not put it on my Rhonda Dragomir author Facebook page or my business Instagram account. If it's just me and my friends and I have a personal Facebook page, it says personal use. Okay, knock yourself out. All right. But you need to understand some artist made this image and they copyrighted this image and it belongs to them. And they get to say what permissions they give and who uses it. Now, one of the things I love, and I will just tell you this, I have it in red ink here. I have a friend who has a website. He put up an image. It was actually a cross that was shadowed onto something, a beautiful Christian image. But guess what he found out? That image was not made by a person who was a Christian. And that person trolled people. He put, it was searchable on Google. How many of you go on Google and say, I'm going to find a great image? That's what he did. He found this image. He loved it. He used it on his website. Within 3 years later, actually, he got an email from this man. And 3 years from that discovery, he is still fighting with that man in court who wants thousands of dollars from him for using his copyrighted image on his business Facebook page. So, some people out there are not playing around, folks. You'd like to think most people are nice and generous. There are some very not nice people out there. And we need to be sure that we are following the law the best we can.
Rhonda, I wanted to ask you again the phrase that you read from their terms of service.
Copyright.
Yeah.
Okay.
You said social media what was the next
word? You cannot use the image to, and then there's this bunch of lists, and one of them is create a social media program.
See, that's the one. that's what I don't really understand what they mean by that. And of course, we may not want to get into that right here in time, but it's like, that to me is like, what does that mean? What do you mean by social media program?
Okay, what I will say is on my Instagram account, I am building my following, and that is in the book proposal that I sent to 2 agents in the last 2 weeks. My social media program to promote my book.
Okay.
So that's what they're talking about, a social media program. I would not use this. I would use it on my personal page,
Right.
Facebook, but I would not use it on any account that I'm reporting to the publishers of my book that this is where I'm going to promote my book.
Right. Gotcha.
So if they say this right next to, hey, my book is coming out next week, will you buy it? I could be in trouble.
Yeah.
Does that answer that question, Johnny?
It does. The language there just seems a little bit not clear, I think. It's like
it's legalese.
Yeah.
How many contracts do any of us understand?
Right? Exactly mean by that. But thank you. Thank you.
Okay. The other thing I will say is, first of all, check the copyright. Second of all, be sure it's a good image as far as resolution. I'm not going to say who used this image. If you want to go and stalk, you can be as mean as me. But I love this image, and by the way, I love this program. But what's the problem with this image? Can you see it?
Really grainy.
It's really
crisp.
grainy
Yeah.
and fuzzy. Now, I took it into Photoshop and I improved it. Did you see the improvement? Here's the original.
It's mine, and I just took
Here's
it
the
off.
improvement.
I can't even tell where I took it from. I don't remember.
Okay, but there are lots of really attractive images that don't project well. If this was perfectly clear, this is a great image, and it brings back a lot of nostalgia to us that grew up in the 50s and 60s, okay? But it is a very poor resolution. So be sure the images you're using are good resolution. Now here's a beautiful image, and I'm so sorry she isn't here today. But this is, who is this, everybody?
Stephanie.
Bethany Jett. We're going to study some aspects of images, and this puts it all together. I'm going to talk about lighting, composition, and so forth. This is obviously Bethany advertising her book, They Call Me Mom, which I bought for my pregnant daughter for Mother's Day. Fabulous. Okay. And there are several wonderful things. First of all, what do you see first when you look at this image?
The book.
The book.
The book.
Yeah.
Okay. This is very purpose driven. Bethany wants to sell her book. What's the title of the book? They Call Me Mom. What's the background?
Kitchen.
A homey feel.
Kitchen.
Yes.
Hello. This is very intentional, okay? It's a kitchen, and they call me mom. She didn't do this in her office. She didn't do it in her backyard or at the park at a lake. She did it in her kitchen, because why? She's got a message. Okay.
But you know what? It also tells the story. This is the author behind her book, behind the book, you know?
There you go. I love the one eye. Do
Yeah.
you know this image would not be nearly as intriguing with both eyes? Just the one eye behind her book. I love that. And we're going to talk something about leading lines. But her hands like this, it's like she's pointing to her book. Just the way she's holding her book is beautiful. Now, Bethany has a lot of experience and she has had some coaching. But this is a beautiful image. And you can recognize this great photo. And you want to make your image personal. This is very personal. Those of us who are privileged to know Bethany, this is Bethany, right? You look at it and you say, yep, that's her. This is what she does, even down to the colors, the black and the white and the pink. I can tell you is branded to Bethany. Okay, black and white and pink. Now, here I want you to talk about making it personal. Now, you may not know who did this image, but this is Melissa's image off of her Facebook feed. And she sketched this. And I'm like, you're an amazing artist. And I find this very interesting. But you know what I like better? Because I like it to be personal, is this image. What's the difference?
You can see me actively working on
There's
it.
two little feet in cowboy boots sticking out at the top of the picture, right? It's the same concept because the emphasis is on the map. But it's personal because, and now in the text underneath the image, she talks about being outside and sketching and blah, blah, blah. I loved this. This is fabulous. Okay. So make it personal. Now, what are the elements of a good image? First, let's talk about lighting. Do you want to talk about lighting?
Sure.
What do you see when you see this photo? And I am going to give,
Beautiful.
this is where you can put up, Melissa, the link about photo credits. I want to be sure in the chat that you know who took these beautiful photos. Dramatic lighting, right?
Yeah.
And what mood does this give? You
It's
know,
very reflective, romantic.
It is romantic.
it's
yeah.
drama, drama, drama. Here's
Yeah.
the same, it's Venice, of course, on my bucket list. Here's the same city. What's the mood of this photo?
Ooh.
Oh, much brighter. Yeah.
It's more, oh, look at this old city. Look at the unique, you know, we could talk a long time and really lose ourselves in this image, but the lines are interesting, and it's all interesting, and it says history, right? This says drama, right? And this says history.
Mystique.
Listen,
Yeah.
Mhm.
photos have a mood, and the mood of your photo needs to match your message. Those are both great photos, but lighting makes a difference. What do you see here? This is actually a wedding photo,
Oh,
if you can
wow.
believe it. And what is the mood? Drama. And it's all done by lighting. The way the sky is lit, the way the couple is lit, it's all about lighting. Here's another. That was dramatic lighting, right? This is more subtle lighting. Both of those are excellent images, right? But the lighting makes a difference. And we're going to see some good lighting in other photos too. So you need to determine what mood you want to create with your lighting. Another thing about a great image is saturation. I took this photo with my iPhone a week ago. I brought it into Photoshop, and all I did to make it look this way, does that look like a professional photo? Oh yeah, it does. Because I increased the saturation. Saturation is how much color is in the image. The more saturation, the more colorful it is. The less saturation, you can slide a slider all the way down to the image is black and white. All right, so saturation, let me tell you something, I'll give you a hint. People in our day and age, their eyes are tuned to saturated images. All the advertising, you just get out a magazine and you start looking at the lighting and the saturation in pictures. Now, some people will do black and white, but guess what? It's very high contrast. All right. The highly saturated images are what tends to catch our eye in this day and age, unless everything is saturated and your one image is black and white. Then you'll get some attention too. Okay. Here's an image that is on my Instagram feed, and I took this image in. Someone else had posted it. I saved the image and I increased the saturation and I changed the hue. Okay, the hue is like how yellow is it versus purple, you know, opposite ends of the scale. How red is it versus green, right? That is not a natural color for a sky. Do you know this is one of my best performing Instagram posts, is this picture. And why is it? Because the tree is black. First of all, it gives you this dramatic mood. The focus is definitely on the castle. The grass is green, but it's like a really vibrant lime green. And the sky is like golden, right? So this image, my goal is to make people stop. They're scrolling, right? I need to give them a reason to stop scrolling and look and read. This is one of the images that did that, and it's all about the lighting and the saturation. So this is lots of saturation. This is very little saturation. Do you see how this is pastels? And a lot of my scripture verses, I put behind them these pastel backgrounds. And you'll see, and then I'm going to teach again in July. And when I do, I'm going to show you how the contrast between those heavily saturated images and an image like this that is not as saturated, what it does to your Instagram feed. It's kind of amazing, actually, what you can do with the images. And this is a great verse for us, by the way. I'm not fearing the pestilence that stalks in the darkness. All right. Now, here's another image. Guess whose image this is? I'm just going to see how well this person has brained
I think I know.
Yeah, Who is this? This is Bethany. Why is this Bethany? See what I'm saying? How she has branded herself? Flowers and great big stiletto heels. I mean, it's got to be Bethany Jett, right? But I wanted to talk to you about the composition of this photo. It is balanced. Now, is it symmetrical?
Mm-mm.
No, it's not symmetrical, but it's balanced. In other words, if I put my finger in the middle of that picture, in the very middle of it, would the visual weight on the left and right be even? Yes, it would be. They weigh visually about the same. A good image composition has some balance. Also, another thing is that a good image has what's called leading lines. If that shoe was pointed the other way, it would be all wrong. Why?
Take your eyes off the image.
It takes your eye out of the image. And basic art, you know, I did study art when I was a girl. You want the lines of the photo to lead into the central focus. Now, this is an odd image because it has a dual focus, all right? There's nothing really in the center that is bringing your attention, but it's still a good composition. Now, I did crop it, and we'll talk about cropping in a little bit. But you want these leading lines to lead into the image. Look at this image. You see leading lines? I mean, there is nothing, I mean, that is spectacular. You know, you couldn't do that any other way other than just observing. But when you're choosing an image, be sure the leading lines come into the central focus of the picture. And then, well, let's talk again about focus. This is another, I love flowers. This was at my daughter's house. I have this photo. What is interesting about this photo?
The vibrancy of the roses. And then
I pulled it into Photoshop and I made it more vibrant. What else?
That little bud that's kind of hanging there. I can't quite tell.
That is composition. That is composition. Something about the arc of that is very interesting. But you're all missing the very first thing that I see when I look at it. And that is that the background is blurred.
Yeah.
Because what is up against in focus, what's blurred in the back. And I will tell you, if you shoot photos, this is the portrait setting on my Pixel 3 XL phone. Okay, most of you in your camera phone have a setting that is for portraits. And what it'll do is if you get close, I was only about 6 inches away from this flower. If you get close, it focuses on the flower and blurs the background. And now there's a tool in BookBrush we're going to look at that'll do that for you, the very same thing. But that's part of what makes this interesting is the focus. So one more thing I'm going to tell you about images. I'm going to talk about something called the rule of three. Any of you ever heard of the rule of three? Okay, the rule of three means both vertically and horizontally. I look at an image and I should see thirds. Okay, and what is the top third of this picture? Sky. What is the bottom third of this picture? Mountain. What is the center third of this picture? The couple on top of the mountain. Is this not just the most, it's a married couple, I think. Now, it's too far away for this to be, look at my wedding pictures, right? It's very more artistic. But then if you look left to right, what is the left third of the picture? The couple. What is the center third? Really not much. What is the right third? Even less than much. Okay? So this picture illustrates the rule of threes. Now, this is from someone who is attending today from her Instagram feed. And this image has words on it in her feed. And I figured out a way to get it without the words. But do you see the rule of three in this picture?
Definitely.
Okay, what's the top third?
The sky.
The sky. What's the bottom third?
Ground.
The grass.
Ground.
And what is the middle third? The real focus of this picture
Ruggedness.
is mountain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you look real closely, there's a hang glider in there.
Oh,
Okay.
wow, there is.
If you look really closely.
Wow.
Okay. This is a
Wow.
great picture for social media because it follows the rule of three, and I'm going to illustrate for you why that's important in just a minute. So here's the thing you can do. You can take an okay image. If you have an okay image, you can improve it. Okay, here's an image from, I would want to say this was from Melissa. Did you take this picture, Melissa?
No, it was I believe an Unsplash image.
Okay. And we're going to talk about, let me just go ahead and put those in, Melissa. There are some free or copyright free places online. Unsplash is one where you can go and get images, and Cody Moorhead talked about that. There's another one called Pexels, and that is the one that is linked in BookBrush. There's another one I'm having her put up that's got great clip art. It's called Yo Priceville Gallery. And I found this one time, and I love their images. Their cartoon stuff is really cute, and some of their backgrounds and frames and all kinds of things, and it's all free. Be careful with Yo Priceville. There are so many ads. You may click all over the internet by the time you're done there. But this is an interesting image. But guess what happens if I saturate it? Do you see the difference? I just pulled up the saturation, and all of a sudden, that's a completely different picture, right? So you see how this makes a difference. If I wanted this for that purpose, I could just increase the saturation, how much color is in the image. Another thing you can do to create a great image is to crop. This is Griff, right?
Yes, that's Griff.
This is Johnny's dog. I love this picture. And her caption on this was, wow, it's a windy day, right? Okay. And if you're a collie, you definitely show the wind. But guess what happens when I saturate Griff? This is a picture that really benefits from saturation.
Oh, that's cool.
See the difference? I'll toggle. Without, with. You know, our eyes are trained. We prefer it with the saturation. But guess what else? This is a picture that will improve when we crop it.
I was going to say it definitely needs cropped.
Watch this. Watch this. Okay. Now, let me ask you, do you see the rule of three? Yes, the fence, the dog, the grass, right? Back here, what do you see? The fence, the dog, the grass, some boards, right? Okay, that's 4. So when I crop it, it improves, all right? So you can improve an image just by cropping. Here's another image. This is from Melissa's feed, and she said, well, somebody please help my dead plants, okay? I was very intrigued by this image. There's so much going on here, I can hardly stand it. But guess what bugged me? It's not centered. It's not centered, okay? So here I improved the lighting a little bit and I centered it. Look at that image, okay? Does it not, I lightened it a little bit, but does it not, I mean, the composition in that is so interesting, Melissa. So interesting. You might not have even known you were doing it when you did it, but the lines of this, the way they go all the way through, makes it a great image. It went from a good image to a great image just by cropping it and lightening it a little bit. Here's another photo from someone's feed. This one actually happens to be a video. But I was looking at this. I love the layer of a box and the text on the box and the image behind. And the quote is wonderful. This is a near miss. And what's the miss?
The flower's covered.
The flower isn't centered, all right? So I work in Photoshop. I took it in Photoshop. I got rid of the background. I kept the thing. And then there's a centered flower. Okay, much better image just because of centering, all right? So when you're working in BookBrush, you're going to have opportunities to make an image bigger. You need to be sure that the focal point of the image is centered in your images. And that is also helpful with the rule of 3. The other thing I'll tell you, the most common mistake I see in social media images is the words layered on top of the picture and you can't read the words, right? Look at this. We said this is the perfect social media image, but then when they put the words on, what did they do? They ignored the rule of 3, right? They just slapped it in the center. And I'm sorry, I happen to think the person who posted this image probably got it from somewhere else and didn't necessarily make it herself, right? So I'm going to give her a free pass on that. But look what happens when I just move the words.
And a background shadow too. Amazing.
And a background shadow behind the lettering. So that's something that an artist would recognize, Kathleen. And two different fonts. All right, this is all the same font. not nearly as interesting. Look at the difference, ladies. It's the
Mhm.
same message, the same image, but so much more captivating, right? And a great message for right now. And this is a great message for our lesson today. Don't be afraid to fail. Be afraid not to try, okay? So you can make great images. So I'm going to stop right here for about 2 minutes in case there are any questions from the chat.
Okay, I haven't been watching the chat. Does anyone know any questions?
Mostly just comments about.
Okay.
Comments. Just comments. I haven't seen a major question or anything.
Okay.
The rule
This
of three, people are saying the rule of three and how you took the time to change, like what you did on this one, was people have really liked that.
Very helpful.
Renee just popped a question up. She said, do you have to credit the photographer in the IG pic?
Only if it was a copyrighted image and you asked for permission, right? The images I take off of Unsplash, the licensing, you can go there and you can see, you can get an image and they tell you whether you need to attribute the photographer, okay? And if they, you should. Yes.
Rhonda, will you repeat the place where you said you got good clip art?
It's called, it's really weird. It's Yo, like Yojo, Yo, and then Priceville and Gallery. How they got that image, I do not know. I found them when I was working and I do enjoy their clip art.
I've not heard of them before. And people mentioned Pixabay
Mm-hmm.
also when you mentioned Unsplash and Pexel.
Pixabay is another one. Just be careful because images sometimes, and some people go to Flickr and there's all kinds of image places out there. Just read the copyright language and be sure you're using an image the appropriate way. All right, I am going to go now into BookBrush. And this is where Kathleen is going to help us shine. I love BookBrush because it does automatically for you a lot of things that other programs you could spend hours learning to do. And this is my 60-second commercial for BookBrush. It is created for authors. It is perfect for creating social media images. You don't need to go out and Photoshop somebody's wedding photos, right? That's not what you're doing. You want a great social media image, you want a message on it, and there are some custom tools in here that really make this easy. And if I had the money, boy, I'd be all the way up to their super platinum diamond level because there are so many things going on. But when you go into BookBrush, what I want us to focus is not just how BookBrush works. They have great tutorials if you want to know how BookBrush works. What I want to talk about today, because that's the theme of this lesson, is how to create a great image. And BookBrush is the tool I'm going to use. So I'm going to start creating here with the custom creator. And it allows me to select from some popular sizes. See here on the left. Select from popular sizes. And this is great. You could spend a lot of time figuring what size should a Facebook image be? What size should a Twitter image be? What size? It's all done for you here. Click, click, click. How many of you love to click? I love to click. Just click. Yes. Okay. I learned something 2 weeks ago from Cody Moorhead that has revolutionized the way that I'm creating social media images. And I am so excited to show this to you. Because you might be, well, where do I start? Do I make a Facebook image first? Do I make a Twitter image first? No, go straight into Instagram. I don't care if you don't have an Instagram account. Go straight into Instagram. Okay, and here's my little icon. And now I have to scroll down here to find them. But there are two Instagram sizes. One is square. That's what you use on your feed. But Instagram stories are the full face. It's 9/16 of your phone, because Instagram, I'll tell you this, Instagram is made for your phone. You can do it on your desktop like I do, but it's clunky. It really works beautifully on my phone. It's a phone thing. So I'm going to create an Instagram story. Now here, I am sure you can probably not see this little guy very well, but there's a little tiny gray outline. Can you see him? That has the background of the image. So I'm going to start with an Instagram image, and I'm going to show you why. First of all, I have asked Melissa, some of you might be like me, you write fiction and you're like, I don't know a thing about content. What on earth am I supposed to do when I write, historical fiction set in Ireland in pre-Middle Ages? What do I do? Well, I had Melissa send me some text out of one of her chapters, and that's what we're going to use. So first of all, what did I tell you to do when we were starting an image? Cricket.
Saturate it.
You choose something, you decide what you want to say.
Right,
Oh.
right.
You decide what you want to say. Okay, I'm going to bring up her, here, I hope you can see this. This is right out of her book. I was reading through here, and I saw this quote, "Remember, 'tis God and not yourself who fights these battles." Whoa. Right? And there were about 6 things in this little clip she sent me that she could make images that illustrate the theme of her book. That one really got me, especially right now since there's so much battling going on everywhere. Remember, 'tis God and not yourself who fights these battles. That's all I'm going to do. There's more of that quote, all right? But I want to get something short and pithy. All right, so that's where we're going. I want an image that goes with that quote. Now, where would you start? First of all, I'm going to, I don't know. Okay. You'll know by the end of this time. I want you to think of images like layers, all right? And you start layering on top. And the very back of the image is, of course, background, right? And then the next layer might be words. And the next layer might be a stamp or a frame or some embellishment. That is the way most of us make images. You start with the background, you layer on text, and then you layer on embellishments. Now I'm going to create a background. So I go over here to background. I hope you can see that. And I'm going to search. Now, when I think of God's going to fight my battles, I'll just do my creative process. You might go a completely different way. But I'm like, I want something that looks like heavenly, right? So I'm going to search sky. I'm just going to plain old search sky. And guess what's going to happen? When I scroll down here, I'm going to see all these pictures of skies. Now, help me choose one. I'll see if you choose the same one I'm going to choose. Can you see these? I chose this one. Why? Because there's just something about sunrise or sunset that to me makes it work. And you see, it didn't fill me up. Uh-oh, what do I do now?
Stretch it.
I resize it, and it's just a couple of clicks. Now, what's the problem if I stop here? Do you see my lines around it? What if I stop there? What's wrong?
You're missing the focal point of the sun.
What is the focal point, ladies? The sun. I move the sun over just a little right of center, and I know what I'm doing. Now, I'm going to hide the rest of the image. What do you see? Do you see the rule of 3?
Yes.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. All right. This makes it easy for me to use in social media. And I'm going to show you why in just a minute. And I thought, well, that's great. But, I want God fighting my battles. So I'm going to add another layer to this. And I'm going to add it using the feature in book brushes called stamps. If you were doing other things, you just add a new layer. All right. And I've already done this, pre-done this because it takes a little while. I made a stamp, and Kathleen maybe can help us. I couldn't find a way to fade just the background. So I did this in Photoshop. I cheated, sorry. But I'm sure there probably is a way. I'm going to give you a minute, Kathleen, to tell us about that. But I faded out the edges of this picture, and just one little click, and here it is. Now, I don't want his little sword up there in the sky. What do you think I'm going to do? What do you see?
I
put this
place it right on
highlight.
top of so the starburst or the lines coming out are right on that spot.
What a great idea, Kathleen. I had the same
We
idea.
didn't even practice.
Okay. And now you can't see it because why?
It's too big.
It's not transparent.
Oh,
Okay. I want to bring the transparency down of my stamp so you can see. Look, ladies.
Mm-hmm.
Is that not cool?
yeah.
And you can say, sure, you can do that, Rhonda. Listen, you get in BookBrush, you play around, and you can do the same thing. Now, I know I want this a little bigger. Why would I make it bigger?
For emphasis.
For emphasis, and also because, see, I'm dragging the sky down to that bottom 3. Rule of 3, right? Where did my sun go? There's the sun. All right. So I'm going to end up right about here. Now, maybe I still want some of his hand in there. Okay. And I'm going to make it just like that. Then I'm going to hide what isn't in my picture. Look at that, ladies. I mean, to me, that's just kind of awesome. All right. And do I still have my rule of 3s? Yes, I do. Okay. And I can tell you right now, just because I've worked with this before, I need to move this guy up just a little for this to work right. Because you know what I'm thinking? This is what Cody taught me. The center square of this picture, I'm going to use on Instagram. Okay? So I'm not going to put any words in the top 3 or the bottom 3. And this will be perfectly fine for using on the Instagram story. Okay? So now I'm going to put my text. And it's just click, click. I love this. Okay? So here's what it says, add text here. I'm going to make it say remember. And there's a comma. And that's all that's in this box, right? Why? Why is that all I would choose?
Because the other part may be either in a different font or in a different place.
Exactly. What this does is it lets me use 2 fonts. And I will say, they're preloaded. I'm just using their preloaded fonts. I have some fonts that I'm excited about using. Now, all I've got here is RE. What's wrong?
Too big.
It's too big.
It's jumbo.
Okay, so I'm going to bring it down to about 30. And now, what's still wrong?
You would just extend the text box a little bit.
Where'd it go?
I don't know, but this is a great thing. You can do the undo button here in the top left corner to undo wherever it went. I don't know where it went, but
yeah, it disappeared. And this happened to me earlier. There's something I'm doing that's wrong. There we go. Okay, so there's the end. I still think that's probably a little too big, and I don't want it to hide my boom, you know, you know, I don't know what you call that. But I'm gonna actually make this a little smaller, and I don't want it to overlap the sword. All right, so there it is. Remember, and guess what? My comma disappeared into the brightness. Remember. All right, then I'm going to add another text box. And here's another thing I love, and you know, don't reinvent the wheel. I'm going back to Melissa's Word document. I'm just going to get her words. 'Tis God and not yourself who fights these battles, period. Copy it, Control C, put it in here, right click, paste. All right, it's still got the comma. All right.
Yeah, because I think you used the wrong text box because now you don't have your remembering.
Yeah. So
use the undo button.
Undo.
Yeah, I've done this before, so so you need to go down to the other text box. There you go.
See, and this is why Kathleen's here.
Yeah,
you would have figured it out.
Okay, I'm going to edit the text styling. I've already chosen another font. It's called Dancing something. Dancing Script. Here's a hint. Use a block font and a script font together. That's what makes it so pretty. And I'm going to bring this on down. Okay. And see, as I'm bringing it down, what's happening to the text. I want this down here. I probably still want it smaller. Ah, look, now it's starting to fit, right?
Mhm.
So I'm going to bring it over. Now I don't have time today. And you know what? I might want look how easy this is. I want my text centered. I love this. All right. And have I kept my rule of threes? Pretty much so, right?
Mhm.
Now, Kathleen, what else would you do to this image? We're not going to have time to do it, but what else would you do?
One thing I wanted to talk about was, because we talked about the licensing, I was going to show you where you can check the licensing on the background images here. So this isn't about the image itself, but if you click on the background step over there, I'm hovering, obviously it's not going to work when I click it. Those three dots in the left-hand corner, if you click that and click image info, it will give you, and then if you drop down over both of those Pixabays, it hyperlinks for the licensing. And so you could click and it would route you right to Pixabay, just so you have that sanity check for yourself. It should say over here.
See?
Well, it went to the person. I think the other link might take you just to the image itself. And
Here's
yep,
the image over here.
Yep. And so over here on the lower right where it says free for commercial use,
Yeah.
That's where you want to check. Since
And
we just talked about the licensing and so forth.
that's wonderful, and that's a great tip, because you should check all of the licensing. You shouldn't just assume because it's on here that it's fine. You need to do your due diligence. Now, because we're running out of time, I'm going to show you. I'm going to download. I would download this image, you know, in a PNG and save it on my hard drive for posting later onto my social media. All right, and this will be beautiful. What I want to do is to show you this an image that I worked on earlier this morning, and just show it to you here in my where did it go? Of course, now I do not see it. All right, never mind.
Did you make it and download it in here?
I downloaded it, yeah.
You could go to your account page to my downloads and it should be there for us to peek at.
See, Kathleen, this is why I'm so glad you're here. All right.
So at the very top right, when you click on the person, it should give you an option for account.
There's download.
Yep, downloads would be perfect.
All right, I'm going to leave the page. I'm going to show you what I downloaded. I'm going to watch the book twirl. Okay. Here it is.
Here's all the wonderfulness right here.
Yeah, and these are other images I've created. But there it is right there, the one that I made earlier this morning. Now, I want to show you just one more thing, and then we'll take questions. And Kathleen, there may be some questions for you too. I'm going back to the custom creator. I'm going to make another image. So that would go on my Instagram stories if I were Melissa. Now I'm going to make an Instagram photo. And you know, it is square. All right, I need to get rid of, there we go. So there, you see my square? Now for the background, I just upload the image and put it in there that I created. And let's see if it takes me.
Oh, wow.
You know, another thing that might save you a step is if you save it as a template, you can just click over to Square and just rearrange things into the square, and you can save it again. So you wouldn't even have to recreate it.
Well, I was just trying to put it in there. Tell me,
Tell
me again.
Well, did we save it as a template? Oh, click on templates.
I downloaded it.
Okay, then that might not work. If you had it saved as a template, you can switch to all the different sizes and just keep saving again and again in all the different, so you could use one creation and then just tweak it for the Facebook size, the Instagram size, and all those things.
Well, I am so ticked off that it's not where I thought.
But you could, if you have downloaded it, you would just pull it in as your background.
Okay, I did download it.
Okay.
How can I find it, Kathleen?
It's downloaded to your computer.
I'll show you where it is. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to show it to you. Here it is.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
You
going
could
to
just right click and download it from there again. Save image as.
Okay, we're just going to leave it that names, because then I should be able to find it. All right. I knew that I would get too excited.
Oh, you're doing great.
You are
Okay.
doing great.
So here's the custom creator. I'm going to do this one more time, then I'm going to take questions. So I'm going to select Instagram. When at first you don't succeed, try it again. All right. Then I want to bring in a background. And I'm going to upload my image that I just downloaded. And there it is. Now,
Bingo.
what I wanted to show you too, though, it would automatically crop out. If I didn't have this yet, it would automatically crop out the rest of that picture.
Mm.
Okay, I'm going to do this one more time because I need you to see the beauty of this. Nope, 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 nope. It's the large image that I want. And I want to show you how it automatically crops it. I'm going to do this here and download it again. Tell me how I do that, Catherine.
I right click on it and save image as. Yep.
Okay. Save. All right. One more time, ladies. Third time's a charm. Everybody,
Rule of 3.
Everybody, everybody give me a drum roll. See if it's going to work this time, because this is so important. So I'm going to bring up this photo size. All right. And now I'm going to, for the background, I am going to upload the big image. You know, I told you to create the big image first. Okay. Now, watch. There it is. But guess what? It's not centered yet, right? I'm going to show the rest of it here. My computer screen is not big enough to just show me this easily. All right. Here we go. I'm going to make this bigger. I'm going to pull it up here until guess what's in that image?
Mm-hmm.
Just the meat of the picture. And there you go. You may applaud now. Okay. This is what Cody taught us. And you know, I'm new at this. So I would be all over the place just like this. But look at that image. And does it say what we wanted it to say? It gives us this warrior thing from Melissa. Now I'm going to stop sharing. I do want to leave. We're almost out of time. I want to leave time for folks to come back in and ask any questions if you want to.
Well, we do have a few questions. What is the learning curve on BookBrush, Kathleen? Renee's asking.
I think folks pick it up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of tutorials and community templates and things that you can use. So I'm wondering, I was thinking about sharing my screen if you don't mind, because there was a question about the book templates.
Yeah.
Would that be okay?
That'd be great.
Without stealing the show. Okay.
No, you're fine. Do I need to make you co-host, or are you able
Either that or under the screen share if you just allow participants to share.
Okay, let me click that and see if that works.
Okay.
Okay, I just clicked it, so.
I'm in. Okay.
Okay, good. Good.
So just what she talked about, or the creating like the images with words and things, and I wanted to just show you. So if you did choose Instagram, for example, this is the same thing that she did. I'm choosing that. I'm going to skip the background, but I'm going to go to book template, and there are over 90 3D book templates here displayed with a sample, but you can just pop your book into any of these. So this is one of the reasons it's super nice for authors. These cover reveal things, ones with hands, probably not any children's, well, maybe some children's authors.
Yeah, we do have some children's
Yeah,
authors.
I forgot about Michelle. Okay, so because there are a bunch too, you can filter here at the top for just the physical book or just ebook. So those, you just click on them and put your book in. So that's an example. So the same thing that Rhonda did, if she had a book that went with it, you could put a picture of the book right there. And then, so that's when you create your own. Under templates, we have community templates, and our graphic designer puts these together so that if you're not sure where to start, these are completely editable, but you don't have to create them from scratch. And you can do a search. So if you just, for example, want Instagram, I can do just that and show filtered templates. You can also do a double search. So if you want romance and Instagram, you can do both. But these are all here for you. You just click and edit. So if I clicked this one, for example, then I would just double click, change the book cover to mine, or you can trash it and take it out of there. So those are the community templates. And then one other thing, I know we don't have a ton of time. There was a question I saw about mockups. So tools, instant mockups, and then I'll hand you the reins back, Rhonda.
Okay, no problem. I'm learning too.
These are my favorite. I love
These are like an instant hit. So your books are at the top. I've got an assortment there. And then we have now over 600 of these real life images that you just click and drop your book in. So you didn't have to go set up a coffee and your book and hope that the lighting worked out. And you can filter by season and genre. Well, not genre on this, but type if you want phones or books or ebook. But these are really fun and easy to do. So I think this is another feature that makes BookBrush really author friendly. Yeah. So I will stop my sharing, but I wanted to show
that's the point. A couple people were talking about Canva and talking about Photoshop, but the point is you guys created this tool specifically for writers.
Mm-hmm.
So it sorts, and Canva, I like Canva, I really do. But Photoshop is just way beyond me. So for most of us, this is the answer. I think it really is. Why don't we invite everybody to come on back and we can wrap up and then we can ask some questions in the after party. Do you want to do that, Johnny?
Yes. Yeah.
I will also say one more thing on the recording is those of us who are writers should also be readers. And one of the things I'm going to start doing more intentionally is posting books that I'm reading. And that instant mock-ups feature that Kathleen did, if you look down into my Instagram feed, I've only done one, and I love it. And I've got to do some others, but this is the book I'm reading. Take an excerpt out of it, why I loved it. Tag the author that you've read on Instagram. And I will tell you, those Instagram images that the square one, those will work on Facebook. And this is something I'm going to teach in the next class is, okay, I've got the images, now how do I post them?
Okay,
right?
We're going to talk about that in July, I believe,
in July.
Right?
Right.
July 7th.
Rhonda, we love it when you teach.
Yes, we do.
I always learn something. Johnny, next week, or Melissa? And come on back in, everybody. If you can't get back in, let us know in the chat and we'll allow you back in.
Yeah,
We've
we
taken
have
you
to
off.
bring some people back in. Melissa, do you have next week, or you want me to?
Tracy Crump is going to come back and talk about writing devotions.
Yeah.
Ooh.
One of my favorite people, Tracy. So yeah, I want to be sure to be.
Yeah, this has been great. I love hands-on like this. I really do. And we try to bring variety. And Rhonda, you're such a good teacher. And Kathleen, we're so glad.
Thanks for having me back
with us today.
You all saw she pulled me right out of the fire a couple times. I knew I needed her here.
Okay.
I think you would have been fine.
I'm going to help Lori get back in. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Questions?
I am looking through here.
I got one that helped here.
Go ahead. You had a question?
Yeah. Let's see if Lori, there comes Lori. Here she
The other thing I will say about BookBrush, someone asked what's the learning curve. Listen, if you can listen, you can learn. Because Kathleen has all kinds of tutorials right there in BookBrush. And she goes step by step through what to do. And it goes kind of fast. But guess what? You can watch it again. Watch it again and again and again if you need to until you get it. And folks, we just need to say it. I'm a lifelong learner.
Yeah.
When I stop learning, I'll be dead. Okay.
Yeah.
And I have to keep learning. And the important thing is, am I learning something that's useful? And I'll tell you, if you want to use BookBrush, and it is a paid service, folks, And I don't know if there's a free version or not, Kathleen.
There is, and actually everything that you did today, you could do on the free version. And you can create and download 15 images for free. So it's bookbrush.com, and you can sign up for your free account and explore all over those community templates, the custom creator. So absolutely, give it a whirl.
And
I
it looks like
signed up.
you got some free sessions coming up too.
Yeah, I'm not super salesy, but I did want to throw it in there. If you're interested, for example, this afternoon I have Box Set Creator, and they're like 20 minutes long, and we just focus on one tool at a time. So it's about the right size for your brain to learn one thing.
That sounds great. It's
That's great.
great. Well, thank you guys. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you. We'll wrap this up so we can get off the recording, and then we could ask anything else on the thing. Anything else, Johnny or Melissa?
I can't think of anything.
Okay, and again, Rhonda and Kathleen, thank you. I'm sorry
It's great.
I was a few minutes late today, but it was really good seeing everybody. And we'll thank you for taking time to watch the replay or being with us today, and we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.